The next morning, it was time for Jack to leave for the academy. The carriage looked like a piece of junk bought off Craigslist. It was old, shaky, and cheap. The guard, a powerful warrior named Ren, looked ready for a fight. Elizabeth tried to jump in. I'm coming too. Jack knew she was planning something. Jack stopped her and said, No, stay here. He looked at his loyal servant Ron and said, Take care of her and don't forget our plan for tonight. As the carriage rolled away, Jack took a nap. He was really so calm that it was scary. Jack woke up in the middle of night. The carriage had stopped. Everyone was setting up the camp. And he saw James, the chicken man who had betrayed him. So, you made your choice, Jack said, smiling. Suddenly, a group of soldiers, led by a man named Rejan, surrounded him. Here is the plan, Jack. Rejan laughed. We are going to break your bones, heal them, and then break them again. But first, we are going to shatter your mana circle. In this world, breaking a mana circle is worse than death. The pain is so bad that most people give up on life. Rejan drew his sword, thinking Jack was a helpless kid, but little did he know. But Jack wasn't a normal kid. In his past life, he was a legendary warrior known as Matsuman. He had spent 10 years training in the wild. He had seen empires burn and didn't care. Jack said that breaking a bone is fine, but his voice was now turning cold and he said, Touching my mana circle? That's a mistake. Rijan laughed at Jack's small sword. He didn't realize he was standing next to a monster. Jack jumped high into the air. He didn't use a normal spell. He used forbidden lighting. And boom, a massive bolt of lighting hit the ground. It didn't just hurt the guards, it erased them. James finally realized he had messed up with the wrong person. But it was too late, everyone was dead. Jack's sword shattered from power. He fell to the ground, coughing up blood. His body was screaming in pain. Ron! Jack called out. Ron jumped out from the bushes, shaking with fear and shock. He had never seen power like this. He quickly gave Jack a healing potion. And Jack whispered that, I was lucky you were here, Ron. Last time I just ran away. This time I should say thank you. Ron was confused. What do you mean? Last time? Jack looked Ron in the eye and said, Ron, I have returned from the future. Everything now finally made sense to Ron. The skills, the confidence, the power. Jack was a time traveler. Ron looked at the bodies on the ground. He knew the Voltaire family was dead. Ron had only one question left. Master, tell me what happens to me in the future. Jack smiled. The real journey was just beginning. Jack's voice was flat, but the words were heavy. He looked Ron and delivered the final blow. But I came to tell you the truth. Your death in the future will be extremely painful. Ron's heart shattered. He stood there in total silence, feeling the weight of a future he hadn't even lived yet. After a long moment, Jack simply turned away and went back to sleep in the carriage, leaving Ron alone with his thoughts. While Jack slept, Ron walked among the dead guards. He examined the bodies carefully. He found one with his eyes wide open, but his mouth was tightly closed. Every single guard had a hole in their chest, but Ron realized something terrifying. None of these were sword wounds. Ron was astonished. How did Jack do this? Even more frightening was the thought, what kind of future did Jack see to become this powerful? After a while, Ron went to wake Jack. Jack opened his eyes instantly. Ron asked if he was truly alright. Jack explained that even after the potion, he felt fine. Ron then showed Jack what he had taken from the dead gods. 5 high-quality potions, 63 gold coins, and 40 shillings. Jack wasn't surprised. He knew these were the Marquis's men, and they always carried riches. However, Jack knew that even the best potion couldn't heal a heavy heart. He handed 3 of the potions back to Ron. I'm repaying the favor you did for me, Jack said. Ron accepted them happily. As Jack stepped out of the carriage, Ron looked at the bodies. What will happen to them? The Marquis will get suspicious. Jack didn't care and said that, let him suspect. What can he do? Let's bet again, Jack challenged. But Ron shook his head. No gambling this time. Ron said, kneeling down, I'm sure you have a plan. Ron had actually cast a powerful nine-circle illusion back in the main building. He created a fake image of himself so no one would know he was gone. Only the masters currently busy in the monster forest could see through it. But Ron knew that if the Marcus found out he was lying, he would be in a big trouble. Jack looked at him. If they asked, tell them it was all my idea. Jack then gave Ron a message to deliver if the Marcus ever tried to kill him. If you or Elizabeth die, I will destroy a house built here. Silence fell between them. Jack wanted to give the Marquis one last chance to be a real father to Elizabeth. Now he was all ready for the academy. Ron was sad. He wanted to go with Jack, but Jack put a hand on his shoulder and said, avoid monsters and take care of Elizabeth. This was likely their last meeting for 4 long years. It takes 4 days to reach the academy by road. Jack wondered if the forest path would be faster. He took his horse and began the climb. Even though he had the mind of a master, his young body wasn't used to the struggle. Finally, he reached the top and set off. The path was quiet, the air was fresh. There was no conspiracies here. Jack wasn't going to straight academy, he was searching for Valentine Milrose, the dark magician who gave him his strength in past life. Valentine was a terrifying man, a man filled with revenge. Jack's heart began to pound fast. After so much time, he was finally close. Jack arrived in Urbala town, a place owned by Viscount Urbala. He saw children playing and people smiling. This peaceful place suited him. He stepped inside a lively inn. A random dog approached him as he looked for a seat. Soon, the innkeeper greeted him. She was a large woman with deep scars on her face. She looked like a scary mercenary, but she was actually very cheerful. Jack ordered a light meal and a drink. He overpaid her, but she told him a shilling was enough and offered a bonus. Jack ordered milk since he was still a minor. Her loud laughter started to bother him, but the place was peaceful. While waiting for his food, Jack overheard a conversation. A major operation was being planned to wipe out all the monsters in the forest. No one knew why. The Tulan Empire was staying quiet. This operation required 20,000 mana users. Jack realized the king was forcing every house to send their best soldier into the forest of monsters. This forest was home to thousands of orcs, goblins, and elves. The king wanted their remains to sell for armor and beauty products. Jack knew it was pure greed and he knew it would fail. 1/3 of the Iron Blood Order would die. This was the event that would start a civil war and tear the kingdom apart. As Jack thought about this, a drunkard slammed his glass. He started yelling about how foolish the king was. His friend, terrified, tried to stop him because the punishment for speaking against the king was death. Jack admired the man's courage, but then something else caught Jack's attention. The people started talking about the Marcus's youngest son. They were talking about Jack himself. Stories of his dark magic and his imprisonment had already spread to this tiny village. Everyone knew who he was.